Coming up on today's episode, Blu-ray software for your home theater PC, streaming video to the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and a little stack of your viewer questions. And, of course, the Blu-ray releases for November 24th, 2009. This is HD Nation.
HD Nation.
Today's episode is brought to you by GameFly, Squarespace, and GoDaddy.com.
Welcome to HD Nation. I'm Robert Herron.
And I'm Patrick Norton. HD Nation is your guide to the best in HD content and the best in home theater gear, no matter what your budget is. Blu-ray, online, satellite cable, over-the-air, hard drive, thumb drives. If it's in HD, we like it. Now, in case you haven't been following, it's a crazy couple of weeks here for the HD Nation headquarters. By the time you're seeing this, Robert's back from Korea, and I might be back from vacation, but we had to pre-tape these episodes. So if we missed any big news stuff, we're really sorry, but as soon as we're back on our regular schedule, we'll get it to you. Now, here's a classic question. We get it, well, actually pretty regularly, and if we don't get it and you have an Xbox 360 or PS3 and you're thinking about buying a set-top streaming media box, pay attention because we're going to talk about streaming your video collection to your Xbox 360 or PS3. Now, setting up an Xbox 360 with Windows Media Center and Vista or Windows 7 is super easy, a lot easier than it was under XP. Here's all you have to do. Connect your Xbox 360 and your Windows Media Center to the same network. Fire up your Xbox 360 and you're going to want to sneak over to the Windows Media Center functions in the Xbox 360 menu system. Now, go back to your Windows machine, fire up the Windows Media Center, select Tasks and the Extender. Now, follow the on-screen instructions and you'll insert the number you got from the Xbox into Windows Media Center. Basically, look for the place to enter the number. Now, Windows Media Center should automatically detect the Xbox 360 as an extender. And you're done. You should now be able to use your Xbox 360 as a Windows Media Extender to play the video that's stashed in your Windows Media Center. Now, if you're looking for basically the ability to transcode video on the fly that's not normally compatible to the Xbox 360, diversity people, if you want to know how to set it up, ask us. We'll talk about it on another show. Dude, what about the PS3?
For the PS3, all I do is, well, let's see, for streaming from a PC, it's a universal plug-and-play device, so it should just detect automatically. It actually should just pop up with it, at least
Assuming
in Windows.
you have UPnP turned on.
Yes, I do, at least in my router and for the PlayStation. And when I basically turn on all my computers, it shows up on the PlayStation interface, so then I can just access it once I give it permission from the host PC. And done. It is really that simple. And from my NAS device, are we talking NAS devices too, or is that another?
You can talk about a NAS device.
My NAS device, whenever I turn it on, it actually supports UPnP and DLNA, so it gives me like a double shot right to my PlayStation 3. I don't need to have both those services running. Either one would probably do the trick, but it's pretty nice being able to use that crossbar media interface to scroll through hundreds of files of pictures, videos, and music straight from my NAS right into the PS3 and right up on the TV. It's just awesome.
I basically did Windows Media Center because it's the fastest and least painful way to get a collection of media onto your Xbox 360.
Totally.
Coming up just about next, well, it's the releases for the week of November 24th, 2009. Let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, GameFly. Video games aren't cheap, people, and sometimes they suck. If you're dropping $50 on a new title, you can get stuck. Enter GameFly, the largest online video game rental service. They've got over 6,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. Instead of gambling $50 on a new game, how about $15.95 a month to become a GameFly member? You can rent 1 to 4 games at a time, keep them for as long as you like. There are no late fees, no due dates, and shipping is always free. Once you're done playing a game, send it back and GameFly will send you the next available game on your list. You really like the game you're playing? Click Keep It on the GameFly website and the game is yours at a discounted price. Discounts are good. And GameFly will even mail you the case and manuals free of charge. And if you're a little tired of a title you've been hanging around and you want to get rid of it, you can trade in used games for credit towards membership fees. What could top all that? How about a 2-week free trial? HD Nation fans get a 2-week free trial when they sign up at gamefly.com/HDNation. Some restrictions do apply. Please see the site for details, and please support HD Nation by trying out our sponsors like GameFly.
Let's check out the new releases for November 24th, 2009. First up, Tony Soprano fans rejoice. Complete with all the blood and drama that makes The Sopranos one of the best shows on TV, the complete first season is now available in fabulous Blu-ray. If you're into Stephen King, make sure the kids are safely locked indoors. The terrifying Cujo has been released into the wild. Then relieve some of that tension by picking out Judd Apatow's latest Funny People, starring Adam Sandler, Seth Rogen, Eric Bana, Jason Schwartzman, and a slew of other hilarious persons. And for the conspiracy theorists among you, we have Ron Howard and Tom Hanks' latest project, Angels and Demons. Other releases this week include Air America, Angel Heart, Four Christmases, Frailty, the Criterion Collection edition of Gomorrah, The Monster Squad, My Bloody Valentine, My Brilliant Career, New Police Story, Santa Buddies, Shorts, and The Way of the Gun.
Coming up next, we got a little taste of Blu-ray Playback software for your home theater PC. But first, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Squarespace. You can now manage your entire Squarespace website on the go with the new Squarespace iPhone application. Post and edit entries, manage content, save drafts, preview your updates, and more, all directly from your iPhone. Snap a photo with your phone, upload it directly to your Squarespace site instantaneously. Want to check on your view counts? The iPhone app has all the stats available. Unique visits, page views, popular search terms, RSS subscribers, and Tom Prefers are all right there under the Stats tab. So even if you're not at your desk, you can keep your website up to date. All you need is your iPhone. And if you're just starting out with Squarespace, do us a favor, use the code HDNation when you check out. You'll get 10% off on the lifetime of your order, and you'll be helping us keep HD Nation flowing to you. Check it all out at squarespace.com.
Quite a few of you out there in the HD Nation are thinking about building Blu-ray into your home theater PCs, which means paying for some Blu-ray Playback software because VLC, the Swiss Army knife of video, won't do Blu-ray.
So I've been hammering on the usual suspects. Corel WinDVD 2010, $100 on sale for $59.99. CyberLink PowerDVD 9 Ultra, $99.95 on sale right now for $85.95. And Arcsoft's TotalMedia Theater 3. The gold version is $60. The platinum version is $100. Platinum adds BD Live support, Dolby Digital Plus, Dolby True HD. You get the idea. I gotta say, if you're a Windows Media Center fan, it used to be an easy call. You go with Arcsoft because they had the only product that integrated into Windows Media Center. You got the nice Windows Media Center controller. Everything kind of maps reasonably well. Now all three actually show up in the Windows Media Center menu.
Yay! I like that.
They all have no problem doing HDMI, like basically like Dolby 5.1 over your HDMI port and your AV receiver. And I gotta say, the playback is pretty solid. 1080p full screen. We're using an Ion test bed. We're going to play around with some other stuff. I was actually shocked because Dolby Plus support, AVC HD seems to be the big thing that everybody's been adding on. There's like this giant checklist of stuff they support.
Everything.
Everything.
The toolbox and then some.
And I got to say, my biggest complaint is that none of them. I want to see somebody actually come up with a decent remote control for all of this software. That's my biggest complaint right now. Because I realized one thing I want to do is basically see if I can integrate my universal remote to support the playback on the PC, because that's my biggest complaint doing Blu-ray. If you don't have a mouse sitting in front of you, and most of you probably don't, if you don't have like a wireless mouse sitting in front of you, all of these get a little awkward to control.
Probably something, hopefully it'll be Bluetooth based, because that's pretty well supported on PC platforms, and then you can get, well, a Bluetooth keyboard at least, and the mice are always supported, but it'd be nice to have a home theater remote that does all of it.
Well, that's pretty funny, right? If you look at Corel's software does a pretty good job of integrating mouse support into it, and it's like, Total Media or Arcsoft's TotalMedia Theater pops up this little faux remote control in the corner you can activate with your mouse. Because one of the things that happens is the Java support on basically a lot of disks have Java-based menus that aren't properly supported for the mouse. They want to basically do a 4-point controller. So if you want to use your arrow keys, and I got to say that's been my biggest complaint looking at home theater Blu-ray support versus a traditional, because they're like 2 years old now. A regular Blu-ray player is the remote control, because the video quality and the audio quality has been phenomenal. Unless for some reason you're really big on Dolby True HD, in which case you have an entirely different set of issues to solve surrounding hardware support that I'm not even going to begin to discuss right now.
I hear you. Going by price alone, though, the WinDVD sale price, though, is pretty much about $20 cheaper than any other version.
The $64,000 question, though, is it still going to be around? Well, first of all, the gold version of Arcsoft TotalMedia Theater 3 actually is the cheapest at $60. That's its standard price.
Okay.
So you don't have a lot of it has some lesser BD Live downloadable content support compared to the Platinum version, but all of the basic Blu-ray movie playback stuff is
Do you need the full version in order to get hardware decoding from, say, the graphics side, either ATI or NVIDIA chipset support for that decoding,
They all seem
as
to
well as the full range audio formats as well?
Well, that's what's really interesting is you and I both have been, we have a stack of like Blu-ray players in right there, Blu-ray drives we just got in, and it's kind of funny because one of the things we'll be looking at is the software that is included with each of those, because in the past we've had stuff where it's like it didn't have full support for audio playback, and also we had a lot of issues in the past with passing through audio, because most of the video cards didn't have HDMI, so there was that issue. It's like audio doesn't go over DVI, so we're going to have to use a digital audio output.
Oh,
and then,
great.
you know, remember, like, that's just the nice thing is if you have a fairly recent graphics card, you can get decent HDMI support. First of all, HDMI support's there, and two, passing audio over the HDMI is there, which grossly simplifies setting up home theater PCs.
Sure does.
I gotta say, I am still undecided between the three. The more I start playing around, the more I realize that I'm basically spending hours poking between the three of them, looking at how they integrate different things and trying to find really my biggest challenge right now is finding what I like in terms of a universal remote configuration for all three. I'm really curious what everybody out there is interested in knowing. You know, do you care about AVC HD playback support? Do you just want the easiest way to like pause, remote, rewind? Are you using a mouse? Are you using a keyboard? Are you using a remote control? What are you using for your home theater PC? Like I say, because I'm looking for a great remote. I'd love to know if anybody out there has one. We'll talk about this again in a couple more weeks. I want to hear what you guys are curious about for Blu-ray playback in your home theater PC, and we'll talk about it some more.
Definitely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we got to thank one of our sponsors before we come back with a couple viewer questions. Let's thank GoDaddy.com. Reliable, secure web hosting with no long-term contract. GoDaddy's hosting plans are bigger and better than ever with 99% uptime, free 24/7 support, and no annual commitment. Keep your personal information away from spammers, hackers, and your crazy ex-roommate. Private domain registration is key. You can get it from GoDaddy.com, and it protects your privacy by keeping your address, phone number, and more out of the public databases. Now, you want to get a discount? Use the code HDN1 to get 10% off your entire order. Some restrictions do apply, and you'll have to see the GoDaddy website for details. And do yourself a favor, check out revision3.com/GoDaddy. You'll see all the HD Nation GoDaddy deals and codes. Do us a favor, get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com and use one of those HDN codes when you do. Here's a problem coming from Sam out in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Sam writes in, "Hey guys, I love the show. I need to run an HDMI cable through my wall up to my HDTV that is mounted over the fireplace." Oh, that beautiful neck-breaking view. "I think it's going to take a 25 or 30-foot cable to get the job done. Am I going to need some kind of signal booster? What are my options here? Thanks, Sam in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin." Dude. I wonder where the Blu-ray, DVD, home theater, whatever is located. That's a long cable run.
You could think,
unless you're doing it like, it's like, you know, when you have one of those things where it's over
everything.
here and you hide it through the ceiling and back around.
You have to run that tape measure up the wall, across the ceiling, down the wall. It can add up pretty quick. Now, the distance doesn't appear to be a problem. I mean, you should be able to do that with a single run. However, I'd consider a couple things. If at all possible, conduit. There's nothing worse than running one cable and that being it. And if in the future you ever want to change something out or add a different cable, there's nothing beats having a nice solid tube through there. So basically you can use whatever cable's currently in there to pull the next cable through. That is really one option. Like I said, the distance isn't going to be an issue. You shouldn't need a repeater if you're using a decent cable. The big trick will be how good are the devices on each end? Basically, are they going to play? Are their HDMI ports implemented properly in terms of signaling? Are they done well? Have they been tested?
But basically, the longer the cable gets, the more likely you are to find issues in HDCP connections between two items.
Totally. You could just end up with no picture at all. Occasionally it just goes blank on you and you're like, oh great,
you know,
unplug, replug.
3, 6, 8 feet, we always say, like, buy the cheapest cable you can afford or find. 25 feet, you know, is it time to go to Blue Jeans Cable and buy one of the high class, you know, HDMI 1.3 ones?
Sure. You know what? I would try the cheapest cable first.
Okay.
Always, because it isn't going to cost you a lot to try to see if it's going to work or not. And then, if need be, step it up from there. But again, I mean, as long as the cable's properly terminated and you're using something like a 1.3 cable that supports full 1080p and it's been tested with a decent signal, really that's what you're looking for with that 1.3B testing, you should be good to go. You really shouldn't have to worry about that distance. Now, if you were going, say, 3 times that, like 100 feet, that's where you might need a repeater. You might need to think of a different technology. Or
might go from like the HDMI to a box to an Ethernet cable to another box to another
could be.
HDMI cable.
Or if you got to keep it HDMI, you could then put an amplifier in the middle. And by amplifier, it could be something as simple as an HDMI switch that does the regeneration right there.
Here's a spec I haven't seen before. Harrison writes in, I've been watching the show from day one and really enjoy it. Thanks, Harrison. I'm currently about to buy my first HD TV, always a nerve-wracking experience, and would like your opinion on 100 hertz TVs. I'm from Australia, so it's like your 120 hertz. I want to use the TV for Blu-ray movies and my Xbox 360 games. Would I be better off going with a 100 hertz model or a 60 hertz model? And then he lists a couple of Sony televisions, the KDL-40W5500 and the KDL-40V5500. Those are both nice televisions, right?
They are beautiful. I'm partial to W series just because you get the faster response rate. Well, the
So
refresh
the refresh rate, the 100 hertz.
100 hertz. 100 hertz for countries like Australia, and where we do 120 hertz here. They also, for their standard def, they have high resolution at a lower frame rate compared to our lower resolution at a slightly faster frame rate.
Now, watching
That's the difference.
watching like movies, which is 24p content, when they do that whole like repeating the frame umpteen times for 120, 240 hertz, I find that emotionally traumatic. I do not enjoy the experience. In
Frame
terms,
repeat good, frame interpolation bad.
but frame
smoothing.
the smoothing
smoothing
looks
is
wrong.
distracting. It is wrong.
I want my classic
my opinion.
film machine. I want, you know what I mean? There's
So you turn off, literally, you turn off the quote-unquote 120 hertz feature, and you would get, you still have, the panel still operates at 120 hertz.
Right.
It just shuts off the interpolation and instead does repeating. So you maintain the film look, but without that annoying smoothing effect.
Yeah, because you laugh, right? But the smoothing effect can be, you know, if you watch a movie, it looks like it was shot on like a cheap video camera in 1987. It's just,
It's too smooth.
yeah, it's way too smooth. But if you're doing broadcast stuff, if you're doing video games, if you're doing anything like that, the 100 hertz suddenly becomes the bomb.
I think it'd be the way to go, just especially when you mentioned the Xbox 360, because with that, the interpolation would actually improve overall clarity of the picture, especially with fast motion games, or say the scrolling lyrics for any of the popular sing-along games or the rock style games.
So basically, it'll actually refresh the screen at its full rate from the Xbox 360 or PS3.
Totally. Well, odds are what's coming out of the 360 is going to be a standard 50 hertz signal,
Okay.
and then it can take that though for those video style signals. It's not film based, so you don't have to worry about the cadence, the judder, de-judder, and making it look overly smooth. But the interpolation actually adds a lot of clarity to the picture compared to a standard 60 or 50 hertz panel in the case of our viewer there. So I would say if price isn't going to be the issue, go with the faster technology because it gives you more options in terms of how you want to view the picture. Either with interpolation and adding smoothness to your movies, or a slightly clearer picture when you're playing your video games.
I am ready to move to Australia, or at least to buy an HDTV in Australia should I find myself living there. You're all out there, each and every one of you. You're Twittering, you're posting on Craigslist, you're IMing each other all day, and they're watching and reading. Who? The Instant Messengers, and now Revision 3 has them. It's the most daring show Revision 3 has ever released, Instant Messages, and you have to see it to believe it.
Do you love to play Super Mario Bros. In the classic Nintendo system? Do you like getting tagged from behind while you do it? I will send you the address to a hotel, and when you arrive, the door will be open. Please come in. Remove all of your clothing, turn off all of the lights in the room, and kneel on the bed so you are bathed in the light from the TV. Please make sure that you are facing the TV and that your butt is in the air towards the pillows on the bed. I'm open to SMB3, and if you're really nasty, we can try SMB2.
I love this stuff. Look, don't miss this new show, which will forever change the way you look at the internet. It's going to come out every Friday at revision3.com/instant messages. I laughed my ass off the first time I saw the first things they sent in. Unbelievably good. Dude, we're out of time.
We are out of time. Hey, we hope you enjoyed this episode of HD Nation, and as always, we want to know what you think. So send your comments, questions, or suggestions to hdnation@revision3.com, and please, when you do write, tell us where you're from and give us help pronouncing your name.
And as much information as you can about any questions you have or products you're looking at. Hey, speaking of which, we've been out for a few weeks, so you may have noticed we haven't had any news, so we'll have the news next week. You might want to, in the future, try posting up newsy articles that are of interest to you in the HD Nation forums. And you can find those at revision3.com/forum.
And head over to hdnation.tv for show notes and links to everything we talked about on today's episode. And you'll also find all the links to subscribe to the show. So if you're not getting the latest episode of HD Nation delivered to your podcatcher, what are you waiting for?
That's right, people. Do us a favor. Subscribe, watch, and tell your friends. Until next time.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Robert Herron.
And I'm Patrick Norton. We'll see you next week on HD Nation.